Hey y'all, I am back with week 6 of the She's Crafty mini paper pad challenge, and here is the sketch. And I believe it says designed by, it's either looks like Jessica Francis. It's really hard to read the handwriting down here, but here's the sketch. And as I've said before, the hardest part for me is coming up with photos and matching it to a paper pad, because I am limited on my 6x6 paper pads. I have quite a few, but probably not as many as some. So for this round, I opted with Shamil's Go Now Go line from 2016. And once I found the photos and a paper pad I wanted to use, the rest of it came together pretty quickly, because I kind of have Shamil stuff separate. So I also, besides the 6x6 paper pad, I also have the 12x12 paper pad. I had started out with just the 6x6, but I really liked all these papers in this line, because to me it's not really a travel theme. A lot of it is kind of fall looking. So when Tuesday morning carried the 12x12 paper pad, I picked it up, and then I went into my binder, and I have a section for Shamil in my die cut. So I pulled out her Go Now Go die cuts, and then on the layout for the circles, I have like these, they're not stars because they're more than 5 points to it, but kind of like this little starburst die cut. So I'm going to use these for the circles in the layout. And so for my photos, I am going old school. And these are, I have to look up the dates specifically, but these are from the 70s. And that is my mother, that is me, and that's my sister with her fancy sunglasses on. It might be a little hard to see, but these are my photos I am going to use. And when we come back, I'll have my finished layout. Okay, so I am back with my completed layout, and I took a piece of matte 12x12 paper and used that as my base, and then I used this cloud and airplane paper and trimmed some of that off and inked the edges and put that on this matte paper, because it was, you know, really busy paper, as you can see by all the colors around the edges. And here we have my 2 photographs, and I basically put them on a darker blue globe paper that was matted with this maroon colored cardstock. And then instead of just using plain strips, I used a scallop border punch to make just an edge on one end. This is the punch that I used by Fiskars, just to give a little decoration to it. And these came out of the 6x6 paper pad, so what I did was, you know, just cut it in half so the paper doesn't extend all the way underneath the photo. You know, it's just part of it under this side and part of it under this side. So I could stretch my papers out and make it look more like it was a longer strip. So I did that the 3 times. Now, instead of these circles, I used this starburst pattern, and to take away so it wouldn't be so overwhelming on the page, I nested them. So instead of having, you know, a full pattern of a design, I took a big one, and then I put a smaller one inside of it. So I just kind of got an edge of it. So I did a cluster here, and See, I left the smaller one whole. I didn't nest it. And I added a puffy heart here, and then I did a cluster down here, the same thing, with another puffy heart. And I cut this airplane out of one of the journaling cards and the cloud. And then I cut a globe out of a piece of this leftover paper here. Now this book a ticket and travel thee is part of this sheet. On this 6x6 paper, I just cut out phrases that I wanted to use. And then I cut out a camera from, I don't remember, yes, from also the 6x6. I couldn't remember if it was on the 12x12 or the 6x6, but I cut out a camera and fussy cut it out for the little embellishment there. And then my title is International Skies, and here's my journaling. And since I was little, I don't remember anything about going to the airport. I mean, we went to the airport to pick up family many times, but I don't remember this particular trip. So what I journaled about was picking my grandmother up from the airport, but how the things have changed from the 70s. You know, I said people used to dress up to fly, and they did. You know, you didn't have your security checks. You could go to the arrival departure gate. You could watch them come off the plane, and then if they were coming from overseas, they had to go to customs. So then you could actually stand outside of the customs area and wait for them to come out of customs. And then now at this airport, the Atlanta airport looks nothing like this. And now where the international flights come in, it's not even at the same location. It's a whole different building, like several miles away from the domestic flights. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is, you know, to leave some of these things in your photos, because we do like to crop our photos down. But by, you know, we're in this picture, you know, we're right here, my mom and my sister, and obviously my dad was the photographer. But here's what the airport looked like in the 70s, which didn't look like it at all. And then you see some of the fashions. You know, here's a man in a suit, here's a woman with her short skirt and her go-go boots on, you know, all dressed up in black and white. Here's another woman in a pink dress. And so, you know, you really, even though they may not seem important to you at the time, it can be important later on, because it brings back a lot of memories and shows things of how things were at that time. Another example, payphone. I don't know. There's probably maybe some people watching this video that has never seen a payphone or never used a payphone. And, you know, here's your holder that held the big old telephone book where you could raise it up and open it up, and inside this black plastic case was your telephone book where you actually looked up a phone number. So some of that, you know, you really don't want to lose, because it is kind of nostalgic to look back on these type things, you know, because I think about my grandkids. I'm like, well, they're not going to know what a payphone is, let alone a payphone that's hooked with a wire to a wall, you know. That's not so common anymore. And by the time they're adults, is really probably not going to be common. You know, there may be something different than cell phones by that time, and cell phones may be antiquated. So it's just kind of cool to have some of this stuff in the background. So just think about that. Something to think about when you're creating a page, you know, because I could have just cropped us out right here and done a small photo, but you know, you just lose kind of some things showing that time period, because you can look at this and obviously tell this is not from the present anytime, just by looking at the style of things. So the only other thing is on the sketch, there was no place for journaling. I think they actually had the title down here. So in some of this dead space right here, I just scooted my journaling in, because if I had moved it out, I would have covered up all my little pretty scallop trim, and I didn't want to do that. So that is my layout. And yes, this is, I think, sketch 6. I haven't done the other ones. I plan on doing them. I'm going to print out the sketches, but they probably won't be like the next layouts I do, because I just got tired of looking at my 6x6 paper pads, and I like to jump around and do different things. So I'll get back to them and share them with you when I finally finish completing them. But that is it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.